we are going to get into the grand final very soon, and that is going to be between Littlepeniss, who we just saw, with the Spiteful Druid, the Quest Priest, and the Control Warlock. And this is going to be against Spinalogaman, definitely said that wrong, who has a Control Priest, a Control Lock, and an Odd Warrior. So a very similar... I say very similar, it was exactly the same lineup that Gunzerker just brought. So apparently that is a pretty well well liked lineup in these Challenger Cup best of three formats, and it does look like it's quite strong when you don't play against Quest Priest, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, two of the final three players are in that same lineup. So it has to be fairly strong. If you're Spinal and do you give any consideration to banning the priest? I mean, Spiteful Druid seems like the obvious ban, but would you be better off playing Spiteful Druid?
Um, that's a good question. You do have to be a little bit. I mean, especially if Spinalogaman was watching the stream just now, and caught a glimpse of just how well the Quest Priest was able to deal with Gunzerker's lineup, and you are running the same lineup, then there may be some merit to saying, oh, this Quest Priest really doesn't look very good for me. Maybe I should ban that and just like take my chances with the Spiteful Druid. But we'll have to wait and see, because of course Spinalogaman did play against Gunzerker in the winners bracket final previously. So in their mirror match, Spinalogaman, this name's far too long. He's called Spiny. Spiny did play against Gunzerker in the winners bracket final and did defeat him 2-1. Although interestingly, they did ban different things. Spinalogaman banned Gunzerker's Warlock, while Gunzerker banned Spiny's Warrior, very interestingly. I think Odd Warrior is still kind of on the fringes of this kind of being a meta deck, being a deck that people know how to play against. It's risen in popularity quite a lot recently, but it's still not, popular meta. Unless you play against it a lot on purpose, there's a good chance you've just got no idea how to deal with it.
Yeah, it's a tough deck to play against if you haven't played against it very much. I've been seeing a little bit more of it on ladder, particularly after the success it's had at some of the recent tournaments. But yeah, it seems like it'll also be interesting to see after the nerfs or the changes if Odd Warrior kind of comes out, because I know Control Warlock is typically one of its worst matchups, although I believe you said the Odd Warrior was running, what was it, Azalina?
Yes, the Odd Warrior does, I believe, also run Azalina. I think it's pretty much got to in these kind of big tournaments. You need to kind of tech for... There's going to be some people running Control Warlock somewhere, and you need to be able to beat them somehow. Otherwise you just instantly lose, and those matches never feel good. Yeah, Spinalogaman does seem to have just a very, very similar lineup to Gunzerker in terms of tech cards. All the lists seem fairly kind of standard stuff. There's a Holy Fire and the Priest. There is a Tar Creeper and a Shadow of Death, which is a little bit more unusual, as well as the Squashling, one of my favourite cards from the Witchwood expansion. And the Control Warlock is again just pretty normal stuff. Again with the Owl. People seem to really be favouring the Owl at the moment in Control Warlock. Because of course there is the little Defile tick that it gives you that opportunity for. So I think we're going to let the players know that they can start very soon. But in the meantime, what are you expecting to see banned here, Risen? We haven't got the bans in yet.
Well, I would have said Spiteful Druid has to be banned by Spina, but after seeing that last match, I would have to give some consideration to banning the Quest Priest. I mean, Little banned the priest last time. I have no reason to believe that it's going to be any different when he's facing the same lineup. It definitely feels like if his lineup is vulnerable to anything in Spina's lineup, it is going to be a deck like Control Priest that can sort of burst him down before he gets a chance to finish the quest or apply the Rin Seal pressure. So I would expect to see a Control Priest ban from Little again. From Spina, I mean, Spiteful Druid seems like the obvious one, and maybe if I'm him, I think Quest Priest. We've seen a sample size of one here. Maybe it's just because he didn't find Rin soon enough. Maybe there's a way to win that matchup. Maybe Spina's played that matchup a lot and feels like he has a good handle on how to tackle that. So it'll be interesting which one of the two. I would imagine Spiteful is the more standard ban, and it's the one I would expect to see more often. But I think there could be some merit to a Quest Priest ban.
Yep. But I mean, we say that there may be merit to the Quest Priest ban because we have just seen what it's capable of. There's a good chance that Spinalogaman just has no idea what this deck's capable of, because when you look at the list, you don't think it's that immediately threatening. You just look at it just like, that looks fairly janky. Then you
let's look. I'm actually going to look on HS Replay Premium and going to see what the matchup for Quest Priest is supposed to be. And it seems to think that Quest Priest is a 52% favorite over Control Warlock, or whatever that's worth. So it seems to think the matchup is a lot closer than it looked from the one sample size.
Maybe Littlepeniss is running a list which is a little bit more teched for Control Warlock.
Could be.
Maybe he's just a lot more familiar with the matchup, and of course there was the fact that Gunzerker did not draw Rin, which probably has a huge part to play in the mirror specifically. So,
yeah, I would imagine. So it's if he had gotten Rin earlier, then maybe that matchup goes completely different. If you're just going off the statistics, a Spike Druid ban probably makes more sense.
I feel like it's just a very polarized matchup depending on whether you draw that one card. Much in the same way that, say, something like Big Spell Mage is quite a polarized matchup against Control Priest, but predicated almost entirely on did the Mage draw Jaina. This one seems like it might be just a case of did the Warlock draw Rin? If yes, you got a shot. If no, have fun with that.
Yeah, and I imagine, I haven't looked at the list for Spina's Control Warlock, but I imagine it runs 2 Stonehills. So, I mean, that allows you to find Rin earlier as well. So maybe Gunzerker just got really unlucky to not be able to find a way to get to Rin earlier. I don't know.
Gunzerker did, of course, play 2 Stonehills and wasn't offered Rin either time. So there was a little bit of misfortune on Gunzerker's part there. But, well, of course, Gunzerker bowed out as the 3rd place finisher, so Gunzerker, he's still got $10. He's still got his month of Hearthstone Premium, and I'm sure he'll be back again another time to try and get that coveted Challenger Finals ticket. Well, these players are guaranteed $20 and 1 month's Hearthstone Premium, but they are playing for an extra $20, an extra month of Hearthstone Premium, and going to the Challenger Finals in June. So,
yes, going to that Challenger Finals, that is definitely that's a big one. I mean, what they sent 8 people from the Challenger Finals, I think, to the.
I believe it's 4 from the Challenger Finals will make it to playoffs. To the I'm not 100% sure. I will need to look that one up. And we have got bans in Risen. We have got some bans.
What are the bans?
And what we have is a double priest ban. So there is a chance that Spiny was watching the match just now. Saw that Quest Priest and thought, nope, not having that. I do not like the look of that at all. So that does, however, mean that Spiny's got to deal with this Spiteful Druid. And Spiteful Druid against Odd Warrior is a really good matchup for the Spiteful Druid, and Spiteful Druid against the Control Lock is a pretty good matchup for the Spiteful Druid. Especially a Control Warlock which does not run Voodoo Doll in it for Spinalogaman. And that may be a big deal, so we are going to get right into it. Yes, we are. So once again, we are going to have Littlepeniss on the bottom of your screens. Bet you never thought you'd hear that in a Hearthstone broadcast. And we are going to have Spinalogaman, the man with the longest game name I've cast for a while. And we are right into a Warlock Mirror. We'll get you right into it, and here we go.
Like Little has both Rin and Gul'dan in the opening hand.
That's a pretty big deal for the little man, the little guy. While Spinalogaman just instead draws a Acidic Swampooze and taps into a Stonehill Defender, he would have probably really liked to play this turn.
Yeah, Little also has a Darkback in hand, so has a way to kill off that Rin.
Yep. And I think Littlepeniss here is choosing to play the Doomsayer out while there's no chance of a Possessed Lackey being played into it, just wants to get the Doomsayer out of hand. So I do like playing this Doomsayer now while there's no negative consequences. There's going to be no Rin played into it, no Lackey to pull out a Voidlord, none of that. And the downside to this, however, is the fact that Littlepeniss doesn't really have much in the way of follow-up. There is a Librarian to maybe draw into something useful, and probably just a tempo Acidic Swampooze here. So
yeah,
nothing. not the biggest plays happening right now, but Spinalogaman did have the kind of fastest start with 1-drops, 2-drops, and was able to connect face a few times. So there is a bit of a health deficit for Littlepeniss right now, but without the kind of big push from the Lackey into Voidlord, etc., it's probably not going to make a great deal of difference in this matchup. It's not really one that's decided by the early game pressure a great deal, unless Rin comes into hand very soon. Then the mid game pressure does become very relevant, as we saw in the last game of Control Lock versus Control Lock. And the Littlepeniss is one turn away from the Rin Coin Dark Pact. So we may just see a Spellstone here. Take out the Stonehill, then trade the Librarian into the Ooze and go face. Just to kind of get a card out of hand. Doesn't
exactly.
Really you definitely don't want to be using the coin this turn.
Yeah, another phrase I never thought I'd use when I woke up this morning is, I guess, Littlepeniss has to worry about some hand size issues. And,
just trying to see how many of these. Just trying to see how many of these we can fit into one broadcast. And this has been a recurring theme, isn't it? We have seen a lot of double Voidlord hands. Like it's got to turn 5 or 6, and both Voidlords come into hand with a Possessed Lackey, just doing nothing, just sitting there. And the seal plan is go. So Spinalogaman now needs to kind of amp up the pressure a bit. We may see a Shroom Brewer here played just for the body. And yep, that is exactly what is going to happen. Trying to kind of 8 power on board. Going to try and make life as difficult as possible for Littlepeniss to play out these seals. And once again, a double Voidlord hand. Although Littlepeniss does not have any Possessed Lackeys to worry about just yet.
Yeah, the good news for Spina is that until they get to 10 mana, Little's not going to be able to get the seals out super fast. So if Spina could find his own Rin, there's a chance that it doesn't fall too far behind. It looks like they're looking for it with Stonehill.
Yeah, but then the issue for Spiny in particular is going to be the fact that he needs to play quite a few cards out from his hand in order to make Rin do anything.
Yeah, like, there's definite hand size issues there, and so if you're Little here, is that enough pressure? Like he's at 14 health, and he's staring down 11 damage, so Hellfire on the other side would be lethal. So probably can't play a seal this turn.
Yeah, I mean, you've played 1 seal so far. There are 5 seals. So once you get to 10 mana, you are looking at 2 turns of seals before it happens. So if you're playing Void Lord next turn, you don't need to worry about playing a seal this turn. So maybe this turn is just best spent using Twisting Nether. The next turn you play Void Lord, and then you play 2 seals, Azari. That's kind of your base game plan. You can maybe fit a Gul'dan in on one of those turns. But if you think of turns in terms of slots of 10 mana, you're not going to, if you don't play Twisting Nether now, you're not going to play it for another 6 turns maybe. So maybe it's just something you want to do now.
He's opting looks like a faceless the 4/5 for some extra heal.
Yeah,
Just
so
sort of a speed bump.
That was it's very kind of passive play from Littlepeniss. Maybe the rope had a part to play in that decision because it hasn't really impacted too much. You really would like to get the Face Manipulator on a Void Lord because we are now getting into Void Lord territory. And this would be a very weak play to Ironbeak Owl if that was in Spinalogaman's hand.
And do we think Little probably should have known last turn since he traded the 2/1 Lackey and not the 2/2, or the 2/1, the 2/1 Lackey and not the 2/2 Lackey, which is a really awkward sentence, in that he probably has both Void Lords in hand. Don't think that's just a caster vision thing at this point.
Yeah, no, that is a very reasonable read, I would say. And yep, now the Void Lord's gonna come down, or the Twisting Nether. Just kind of playing off curve a bit, and now this would be so bad for Littlepeniss were Gul'dan actually in hand. But as it stands, Spiny is just 1 damage off lethal with this double Hellfire. So the moment a Voidwalker connects, discounting the Spellstone in Littlepeniss' hand, of course, the moment a Voidwalker connects, then that is going to be game 1 to Spinalogaman. And I'm finally getting the hang of saying that a little bit faster. Spinalogaman. Yep. Now it's just going to be Void Lord on Void Lord action for the next few turns, I believe. Could see another Void Lord come down for Spino. But the way that Spinalogaman has played this match after the very early Rin came down is he's just completely shut off the seal plan from being relevant for Littlepeniss. Like, I almost forgot that the Rin seals were even in Littlepeniss' hand because they've just been sat there for so long at this point.
Yeah, he's done a really good job of applying pressure so that he can't get those seals out. Hasn't managed to find a Rin of his own. But at this point, I mean, he's, like you said, he's 1 damage off being able to find lethal here, and he doesn't know that Little has Gul'dan in hand, which I imagine we have to see Gul'dan soon, don't we?
Yeah, we're going to see Gul'dan very soon. But I think Spiny is just going to try and hit through these Void Lords. Try and get to the point where Hellfire not only does damage to your opponent's face, but also clears off as much board as possible. Because now we're just kind of getting into the 3 versus 3 versus 3 that is so many Warlock mirrors. And we've finally seen all of the Void Lords come down. There are no more Void Lords unless an extra one is produced from Stonehill Defender. And Spinal has now played enough Void Lords that if all of these die and all the Void Walkers die, it's going to be a bit of a crapshoot as to how many Void Lords actually come back from Gul'dan, because there will be 12 dead demons and only 7 can come back. And
looks like Little's considering a seal.
Yeah,
it's kind of counting a lot too.
Yeah, maybe he's trying to make it look like he has Lord Godfrey in hand. Yeah, I think you can kind of consider the seals here because you are moderately safe behind this many taunts. You would not be dead to Owl double Hellfire, for example.
I think you might be considering playing a Hellfire, I hope.
Oh, and of course...
Spellstone.
Of course, you could not be dead to Owl double Hellfire because that is 11 mana as well. Sapcasters. And yeah, Littlepeniss he's dealt with all the Void Lords, put this Doomsayer up. So this is saying I have Gul'dan. What are you going to do about it? And crucially, he's recovered from the 1 health above being dead range with the Spellstone too. So it does appear that all Spiny has to do this turn is just to kill off this Void Lord so that the Void Walkers die as well. Although there may have been some merit to keeping the Void Lord alive, so when your opponent plays Gul'dan next turn, they can't... They will not summon their maximum amount of demons back.
Yeah, I've seen people do that, so it doesn't bring back the board is full of mostly Voidwalkers.
But of course, that plan would not have worked if your opponent is instead planning to play out the seals. So Littlepeniss is kind of playing the bluff, saying I have Gul'dan, then going, nah, I'm just going to play some seals. And Defile Godfrey will be a board clear here. We'll get a 7-4 up. And Spinalogaman really needs to draw Gul'dan quite soon, I think. Littlepeniss does appear to have just stabilized. Although... Alright, no. Double Hellfire is still 1 off lethal. Would do 10 damage, so... It would be a very brave play to continue on the seal plan. I think going Gul'dan and then playing the double seal next turn would be a lot safer. But maybe Littlepeniss just really likes playing seals.
He's pointing to Gul'dan. I mean, I think Gul'dan's the play here. Like, I think you play it safe. It doesn't get, like, you're gonna have to Gul'dan next turn if it's not this turn. So you're not getting the seals done any faster.
Yeah, that is very true. And what is in the box? It's 2 Void Lords. That's pretty good. That is the optimal result. Ironbeak Owl comes into hand a little bit late. It's not really going to have any impact on the game at this point. So now what is the play for Spiny? That is the question.
Do you think Spiny maybe should have, I mean, obviously this is somewhat caster, but he might have been able to use it to clear after Gul'dan a little bit more effectively.
Yeah, Godfrey is one of your best tools after Gul'dan, because there's almost always a way that you can maneuver it to just full clear a Void Lord, all the Void Walkers, and pretty much everything else, but Doomsayer is pretty much just played here to heal 7 and nothing else. And I don't see any reason for Littlepeniss to... Oh, he can't play 2 seals.
He can't double seal now.
Yeah, that is an interesting little interaction. Of course, can only play the 1, so you can just clear off the Doomsayer and maintain some amount of board presence. And it certainly does appear that Littlepeniss is making the way back into this game. It was looking very bad for him earlier. There is the Rin, the first disciple, but that is probably far too late in the game to have any kind of impact.
Yeah, it's... Okay, so Hellfire clears off all the Void Walkers.
Oh, double Hellfire.
Double Hellfire.
Yep, this is the seals are going to be completed now.
Would you ever save the Doomsayer for when Azari's in hand, or...?
Your opponent's... That may be a consideration. I don't see any reason to do anything besides just suck face. And finally, the health kind of deficit that was present all through this game has finally been equalized. Littlepeniss is so confident that he's going to play Azari next turn that he's just drawing as many cards as he can with complete impunity.
Yeah, you upgraded the Spellstone as well, which isn't entirely irrelevant right now.
Yep. Spellstone always good, and Gul'dan has not been drawn. Got 1 tap to do it. That's going to be, I think, it, really, for this game.
Yeah, destroying the deck with Gul'dan in it is...
Yep, there is the well-played. Spinalogaman knows exactly what's about to happen. Gul'dan has just been blown up. And really not much else to say here.
So if you're Spina here, do you, if you know Spiteful Druid's the next one, do you queue up the Warrior or the Control Warlock?
That is a good question. I believe. I think the Control Warlock has. Well, no, the Control Warlock generally has a bit of a better time dealing with it because of the existence of Voodoo Doll. Does make that matchup a little bit easier. So without that, I'm honestly not sure which one I'd rather be playing against a Spiteful Druid. Because, yeah, the fact that Littlepeniss has got his probably, well, I say weaker, it's still Control Warlock, but his worst suited in this particular series deck out of the way is quite a big deal. So maybe Spinal goes for the Warrior. But we can see that Spiny disagrees with me. Gonna go back in with the Warlock up against this Spiteful Druid of Littlepeniss.
Yeah, at least I was looking at the matchups in HS Replay, and it looks like the Control Warlock has a better matchup than the Odd Warrior, assuming no tech decisions.
Yep, but there will of course be many tech decisions.
Yes.
And that card that we have seen into the hand post Mulligan, the Vicious Fledgling, can do a whole lot of damage against Warlocks. There is the Coin Spellstone, which will deal with it, and that is hugely relevant. But Littlepeniss has not drawn into any other of the real big power spike cards in the Warlock matchup. There is no Kalaseth, there is no Spiteful Summoner, no... I mean, really, those are the two power spikes. You want those two cards in particular. There is no Lich King in this deck, so that is not something that would be all too relevant. And now, if you're Littlepeniss, you see this Beetle and you're thinking, I don't really like playing the Fledgling into that, especially when there's a Mortal... No, there's no Mortal Coil on the deck, but there's a whole heap of ways that can be dealt with. So I think this is generally the correct play against any kind of... If you have Crypt Lord and Vicious Fledgling, normally you want to go for Crypt Lord first, protect it, and Spiny is having none of it.
Yeah, Doomsayer is just... It's a ridiculous card in some situations, and this is a really good spot for it.
Yeah, this has just absolutely shut out a huge development turn for Littlepeniss. Could have played something like the Serenite Chain Gang, the Vicious Fledgling behind the Crypt Lord, and the fact that it deals with the Crypt Lord itself is no small deal as well. Warlock really struggles to deal with Crypt Lord, and it just kind of shuts out so much.
I don't know how much I like the second Doomsayer, though. I feel like you probably save it for the Spiteful turn.
Yeah.
And we know Little doesn't have Spiteful in hand.
Yeah, I guess Spiny feels that he's fine just holding off development a little bit longer. Maybe try and draw into the Possessed Lackey was what I was about to say. Possessed Lackey Coin Dark Pact is pretty strong when you can do it on an empty board. Heal up to full health, have a Void Lord on the board, going into the Spiteful Summoner turn, which just comes off the top as well. Both players just drew their best card on the exact correct turn. So what's it going to be in this box? It's Tyrannus, obviously, and that is such bad news for Spiny.
Spiny has Voodoo Dolls in the deck.
No, Spiny does not have Voodoo Dolls.
Spiny does not? I'm sorry.
Yeah, like we're saying, that's what we were saying beforehand, that the Warlock matchup gets a whole heap harder if the Warlock does not have Voodoo Doll in it. Because there is a fully charged Spellstone in Spiny's hand, but cannot target the Tyrannus.
So it still has to take a lot of time to work through this. Mind Control Tech can help out with that.
Yes, it can. But this is going to be a case of how can... I don't think there's any real way of making this Tyrannus hit face this turn. There is going to be the mind control tech, as you say. There can be the Druid of the Scythe, will also deal with a Voidwalker. Mind control tech can probably be better saved for a post
Post
Gul'dan.
cooldown.
Yeah, stealing a Void Lord with mind control tech can be pretty juicy if you manage to pull it off. Looks like we're just going to see... And this is actually quite clever from Littlepeniss. He's played a whole heap of 3 health minions out. And obviously, like, you look at this board and you think, Hellfire, that's really good. But then you also look at it and think, if I Hellfire, then that Tyrantus is going to hit me in the face. So that's quite a nice little play from Littlepeniss, trying to kind of bait the Hellfire, because if that happens, he gets to do a lot of damage to the face.
Yeah, I like that play a lot. I didn't really even see that line very much, or didn't see that line there. After seeing the play come down, I like that a lot. So, okay, he's gonna clear off one of those. Stonehill.
Yep, and this is just this is just trying to put as many taunts in the way as possible. Because any kind of taunt, like, we're probably going to see one of these 1 mana dudes come down. The Goldsha Footman maybe, just to preserve the face. Because once 12 damage connects to your face, you're in a whole world of hurt.
Yeah, so I was looking for something playable that turn. That makes a lot of sense. And
Yep, so we could... Oh, I think that was a misorder from Littlepeniss. Should really have hero powered down the 1 health Voidwalker before playing the mind control tech. But this also works.
I don't blame him for, like, he saw a line where he could get 12 to the face.
No, the mind control, the hero power first did still guarantee it to the face.
Oh, absolutely. I agree that
if you hadn't stolen the taunt.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with what you were saying. Just can understand from little, like,
Yep.
having a little bit of tunnel vision on being able to get that 12 in there and maybe not seeing.
Yeah, he did play that turn very fast, so that's probably why. If he'd taken a little bit longer, he probably would have done the same thing. And now, there is no Godfrey clear here. Everything's at quite a low health. Can only do 4 damage to the Tyrantus. No, sorry, 6 damage. And then nothing. Would gain 3 health from the Beetle. Would maybe gain something from a Dark Pact. But tricky is how I would describe the situation.
Is there any way to set up a potential clear next turn and still live? Like, the Dark Pact makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's Dark Pact Godfrey this turn, and then next turn it's got to be something like... Well, the Godfrey does directly challenge the Tyrantus, which is crucial. But I think what we're going to see following turn is the Owl Spellstone, maybe. Allow Tyrantus to be targeted, then you can Spellstone it, heal up, kill the 12 attack minion. But the fact remains that this 12 is going to go to Dome once again. And now the age-old question, where does the Grand Archivist send the UI? Because I think it always hits the Archivist.
Could hit the Tyrantus.
See?
Archivist, right.
Told you. Every time, without fail, it hits the Archivist.
Alright, so Hellfire Spellstone's going to do a reasonably good job of stabilizing.
Yep.
Although Little just got a whole handful of stuff, so...
Yep, Little got a whole handful of stuff, but Spiny does have Gul'dan and does have Twisting Nether in hand, as well as a fully upgraded Spellstone. So... I think the play for Littlepeniss here is try and set up the biggest board possible when you have the double Spellbreaker in hand. You need to kind of be pushing as much as possible here. Because there's a good chance Gul'dan will come down next turn.
The circle of life is over.
But it looks like we're going to see Scarabs and Fledgling.
Yeah, if you're playing the Fledgling, you do kind of have to play the Scarabs instead of the Poisonous. The Poisonous would be great into Gul'dan, but it would not protect your Flappy Bird. So maybe there was some argument for playing an alternate 3-drop alongside Malfurion to get the Poisonous and kind of protect it a bit.
So we see a Spellbreaker on the 3/9. What does the rest of Fungal Man turn?
Now, I think Littlepeniss is probably regretting the Fledgling placement. Yeah, if that Flappy Bird was outside, the Fungal Mancer would probably be a whole lot more useful.
It seemed like his entire turn was kind of planned around him not having Gul'dan, though in which case you kind of would like the Fungal Mancer buff on in case you get Wind Fury.
This is true. As things stands though, there's still a pretty good board here, and this is probably going to force the Twisting Nether out from Spiny.
It looks like he's looking at Spellstone to start with.
If you Spellstone the Flappy Bird, Hero Power, Godfrey down the 6, then the 3 and 2 ones go into the other Scarab. There is still a 4-3 and a 2-2 in play. Maybe he's considering copying the 3-6 Scarab. Although that doesn't that leaves you with quite an awkward amount of mana. Maybe there's something.
Copying the Flappy Bird?
Wow. This is not a play I considered, and it looks like Spiny's actually going to go on the offensive here.
I must feed now.
But going on the offensive when your opponent has...
It seemed like there may have been a miscount of mana there, because it definitely seemed like he was thinking about Spellstoning and Hero Powering.
Yeah, it does seem that way. However, Spiny has kind of got some kind of board advantage now, and a Flappy Bird. And
Yeah, the Mystic, yeah.
Yeah, so now Spiteful Summon's going to come down. This is going to call for the Twisting Nether most likely. So... second
Another Tyrantus.
Yep, this is 100% going to call for the second, for the Twisting Nether. So hopefully Littlepeniss doesn't commit anything more this turn. He should get the idea that, well, if his opponent has Twisting Nether, then great. Like, I don't really think there is any need to develop more. Like, either your opponent has Twisting Nether or they lose the game. There is no real need to play some more minions out, because you've already won.
Yeah, I agree. I can see Little thinking that, well, last turn was a good Twisting Nether turn, so perhaps he doesn't have it. But this is, I mean, he doesn't really need the 2/2/3s to continue to threaten and can hedge against Twisting Nether. I can see him having the read that the Twisting Nether isn't in hand, though.
Yeah, that is valid, I suppose. Twisting Nether would have been pretty good last turn, but now it's almost mandatory.
Absolutely. He can. I don't know if Spino wants to, but they can push the Flappy Bird to the face before Twisting Nether if they want to.
I mean, that seems pretty valid. I mean, you've used your face manipulator to make this Flappy Bird. You might as well get something out of it.
I must feed now.
Although your opponent is on 38 health. So, really need to attack very soon as the rope is ticking down for Spiny.
Yeah, there's a lot of animation. Then he does get the Wind Fury.
Does get the Wind Fury and is forced to... Oh, I do hope he's got it off here. Yep. Didn't have time to attack with the owl, so it missed 2 damage there, but... I mean, sitting relatively pretty. And Littlepeniss now just gonna keep playing more stuff.
I mean, they are both down to 8 cards, and one of those cards in Little's deck is Ultimate Infestation, which is kind of a dead card at this unless they're able to use it to push for lethal.
I don't know. I think Ultimate Infestation is perfectly valid to play even if you have 4 cards left in the deck. When your opponent's played Gul'dan and they are top decking, they're running out of resources, you can just make that final push with your own resources to just kind of push them out of the game.
Yeah, I can absolutely see that. It'd also be interesting to see how much value Little gets out of this Lich King whenever it comes down, which it looks like is going to be now.
Yep, Lich King is a pretty useful card to have when your opponent's quickly running out of stuff.
So what does Spinalogaman have left in his deck? There's, well, Rin. There's another Hellfire in there.
I believe there's another Shroom Brewer. There's another Lackey, I think. There is an... Oh.
Are there 2 Twisting Nethers?
So, I have just... Having a look at the Spiteful Druid deck list for Littlepeniss, there is no Lich King. Littlepeniss is playing a Invalid deck, so we are going to have to get some kind of admin ruling on what this means. So bear with us just 1 minute.
I must feed now.
I have been told that we should be using Spina, and that we should also say, "Hello, Greece." Hello, Greece. What up? Good to have the entire country of Greece here in chat. Love to have you all here. I'm just speaking to an admin now to get a ruling on this whole Lich King thing. And we will know the deal with that very shortly.
So I assume while we're waiting, they're playing it out for now. So there is a second Twisting Nether in Spina. We'll say Spina. I'll be correct now that I know the correct thing to say. Spina's deck has a second Twisting Nether in it.
Yeah. Spinalogaman is apparently what it is according to chat.
So many bloody decisions.
So Spina probably has to nether this turn.
Yep, this is very much a nether or bust turn. Another one of those, and looking a little bit rough. Oh, Greedy Sprite, of which I believe there are still 2 in the deck for Littlepeniss, so that is quite a low value card remaining in the deck. I think there's still a Glacial Shard in there as well, so quite a few low impact things, and stealing some healing. Pretty relevant, because your opponent's on such a low health, and you are doing 3 damage to the dome every turn with this Malfurion hero power. Yep, Acidic Swampoo's not the card you want to be drawing in this scenario.
So it looks like he's going to get the Rin online, I assume just for the extra value. At this point, wouldn't be able to destroy the deck in time to have much of a meaningful impact. But it does put a taunt in the way. It does give additional value.
Yep, and just going to keep struggling on.
I mean, I think Spina could potentially turn the corner here. There are not... Most of what's left in Little's deck at this point are smaller minions that they can deal with the hero power. And what there's a Leroy still in the deck. There's probably another Druid of the Scythe, another Glacial Shard, and then another Ultimate Infestation. I believe that's it.
Yep, the Ultimate Infestation is now reaching the point it is dead card. And Yep, I am just getting confirmation that this is actually going to be a game loss for Littlepeniss for running an invalid card in his deck, unfortunately for him. So, yep, I will let the players know, and we are going to tie up the series at 1-1. Good news for Greece, bad news for the lesser endowed male.
So how do they proceed from here? Does Little have to back out of the challenge, create the deck, and then they go back into challenge?
Yes, essentially. I think he may have. There's a possibility that he has 2 Spiteful Druid lists in his collection and just clicked on the wrong one.
I'm out of cards.
So that means we're going to end up seeing Spina's Control Warrior, or the Odd Warrior, versus the Spiteful Druid. I believe that's the matchup we're going to see.
Yep, so
It's really interesting because the Spiteful Druid is supposed to be a bigger favorite over the Control Warrior.
Yeah, I am very interested to see how that matchup goes. Odd Warrior is not a matchup I have any amount of familiarity with. Yeah, I am just dealing with a couple of admin things. We will be back with the action very shortly. Interestingly, Littlepeniss came very close to dying there. Got a
Yeah, it was actually a lot closer than it looked.
Yep, if you will bear with us for just 1 second, we will sort this out and we will be right back. So we are going to take a couple minutes and sort this out. We'll be back with you very shortly. What, Greece?
Okay.
Right. Sorry about that, everyone. We just had to fix everything there, and what happened is because Lich King was not in Littlepeniss's declared deck list, unfortunately the auto loss was given to Littlepenis, and the series has been tied up at 1-1. So Spinalogaman's Control Warlock did get the win, so we are going to go into game 3 here, which is the Odd Warrior of Spinalogaman against Littlepenis's Spiteful Druid. Let's see how this matchup goes, Risen. Do you have any experience with Odd Warrior versus Spiteful Druid?
No, I've played a lot of like even Paladin versus Odd Warrior, but I played very little Odd Warrior versus. I played 0 Odd Warrior versus Spiteful Druid. I would imagine the game plan for the Spiteful Druid is to apply pressure and kind of kill them in the mid game, while Control Warrior's plan is to prevent them from doing that and then
Control
go the
Warrior's
distance.
Odd Warrior's plan is presumably don't die, while Spiteful Druid's plan is kill them. So it's going to be just a case of who is the stronger willed when it comes to that. The Vicious Fledgling is going to have a lot to say about that, though. Because it is hidden behind this Crypt Lord, the only way of dealing with it will be this Hoot Hoot, the Ironbeak Owl. And then it's the question of which do you silence? Do you silence the Crypt Lord because it's going to keep on growing and kill off the Fledgling with your 3 minions? Or do you silence the Fledgling and leave the 3/3 body and still have to deal with this very irritating Crypt Lord, which is making your Fiery War Axe almost next to useless?
Yeah, it looks like he did draw the card first and then gets the big game hunter, which is going to be very rare.
But now Flappy Bird is gonna go ham. And now Flappy Bird can be hidden behind yet another taunt. And with the silence gone, there is, I believe... Oh no, there are 2 copies of Ironbeak Owl in the deck, so that is still at least somewhat relevant. This Crypt Lord can trade off into the Owl, meaning the Druid with Scythe cannot be killed. And Flappy Bird here, I think the +1/+1 is the most relevant, although the Stealth, pretty good, especially when the Shield Slam comes direct into hand for Spina.
Yeah, that was a very... I agreed that I didn't think Stealth was a pick there, but it definitely is looking like a good pick when Shield Slam comes off the top.
Yeah, I mean, it protects you against Shield Slam, it protects you against a possible Silence top deck, so yeah, I think Stealth was one of the safer picks, if not the most offensive one. Maybe the Longevity is more relevant, but Fungal Answer onto a Flat Vicious Fledgling is a big deal.
Yeah, and has not been able to get Wind Fury yet.
Could get Can't Be Targeted.
Yeah, Can't Be Targeted looks really good here.
Yep. Although maybe Divine Shield has something of the same effect. It does protect you against things like Shield Slam, while also... if Spina wants to Shield Slam this, he's got to still face tank 5 damage to do so. And that is a big investment. This is already going to draw the Brawl maybe from Spina.
He's definitely considering the Brawl.
That's just not a good position to be in. Having to use a Brawl on this many minions is at least somewhat rewarded. The Vicious Fledgling does die, but this Greedy Sprite is going to allow Littlepenis to curve very nicely into Grand Archivist next turn if it does die. So
yeah, and getting the Kelsa out before the Archivist is
absolutely huge. Gem-Studded Golem's not bad though. There is a good chance that as an Odd Warrior tanking up every turn, you are going to have more than... What is the requirement? I believe it is 5 armor, yes. Ooh, there is one of the UIs, so needs to not draw the other one for Grand Archivist to be useful.
And this is kind of an awkward turn. Not a lot of development that can happen.
Yep, and so the way Littlepeniss is doing this kind of acknowledges that he doesn't need to be on 9 mana, so there's no reason to trade off the greedy sprites. Instead, it's protecting its whirlwind effects. Of course, whirlwind it being in the deck, because if whirlwind effects do transpire, then can just play UI next turn naturally. Can actually just deal very comfortably with this and just play the Grand Archivist. Draw 5 Keliseth buffed minions. Of course, if the second Spiteful Summoner is drawn, it's going to be a 6 mana 5/5.
The bigger question is, where does Grand Archivist go? Oh, he's considering not playing. Okay.
I think you've got to play the Grand Archivist. And as we said previously in the broadcast, the Grand Archivist always hits itself in the face. Nope. Just hits Littlepeniss in the face. There is the second, now useless, Spiteful Summoner. But there is Malfurion the Pestilent. Malfurion the Pestilent can reduce your opponent's hero power to essentially 1 each turn.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, though, because without being able to get the Spiteful Summoner out, and without having something like the King in for a big threat, there's just a series of smaller minions that Little can get out. And the tank up and the removal tools from Spina, they could be turning the corner here.
Yeah, but it is worth mentioning the fact that Spina does not have any of that removal in hand. The only removal option in the hand at the moment is the Whirlwind King Mosh. Once that's dealt with, then there's no more AoE until some is drawn. And one of Odd Warrior's kind of big weaknesses is the fact that it doesn't really run a great deal of card draw. There's a couple of Acolyte of Pains, couple of shield blocks, and that is it. It does rely very much on kind of the value of its cards. And this board by itself looks like it might be enough to draw out this Whirlwind King Mosh. And that is probably the highest impact board clear in the deck. So, Spina's going to go straight for this Whirlwind King Mosh. And now it's going to be up to the shield block to draw into something useful. There is the card that I believe was not in the deck previously for the Lich King, because I don't think we've seen that at all so far. The Fire
Yeah, I
Plume
haven't
Phoenix.
seen that.
So I think I would like to see the poisonous spiders come down here for Littlepeniss. And that is exactly what
spiders
happens.
freeze the Mosh and do 3 to the face.
So yeah, now this Malfurion hero power is going to do quite a lot of work, I imagine. Like we said, it does almost negate the tank up hero power to an extent. At least the Trailblazer, great in long control games, not so useful against Spiteful Druid.
So it can't deal with both poisonous spiders.
Nope. So this spider, with the freeze, is just going to kill King Mosh. A spider is going to kill a dinosaur.
Oh, makes sense.
That's how
it was, right?
Yeah, that's how nature works, I think. So we could just see a Fire Plume Phoenix to take out one of these things, the Fireflies, and then I imagine we're going to see some more stuff hit Spina in the face.
Yeah, I wonder if there's any merit to instead trying to develop the Scalebane. I mean, they've taken the board over multiple turns. That probably will do more damage.
Yep, and actually opting to just play the Spiteful Summoner. 6 mana 5/5 is better than a 6 mana 4/4 at least. You know, that's only a few stats below average rather than heavily below average. And just this continuous pressure, a few minions a turn. That was always a thing against Control Warrior. You wanted to play 2 minions, have 2 big minions every turn, kind of try and force a really bad brawl or a really poor form of removal. And looks like that's exactly what Littlepeniss is going for. And now that you've seen these kind of really bad turns from Spina, you're probably thinking that it's a bit safer to kind of develop a bit more. But that would be playing very heavily into the brawl still in Spina's hand, which he drew last turn.
Yeah, not having to use that brawl last turn was really key. Like, using this brawl in the right spot is going to be really important for Spina.
Absolutely. I do like just hero powering every turn for Littlepeniss. The hero power is just so useful against your opponent's tank up in kind of getting rid of some of their healing, basically. And this Cobalt Scalebane is looking like it's going to be really good refill alongside the Fireflies. Although the thought behind this, it may be just, I'm going to play UI next turn, so I need to play the card. And I would imagine we're going to see a brawl this turn. Although, not... I imagine if we're seeing a brawl, you would need to attack Baku the Moon Eater into one of these chain gangs. Or maybe we're just not going to see a brawl. Oh, this is actually a lot better.
Yeah, this is a lot cleaner. Being able to hold on to that brawl and have 4 later turns. Yeah, that was a really good turn, I think.
Yep, but now Ultimate Infestation is going to come down, and there's going to be yet more Keleseth buffed cards coming into hand from Littlepeniss. I don't think there is any real alternative play here. The 5 health Baku is just so inviting, and this isn't really a resource game. You're going to hit fatigue first, but you are absolutely fine with that, because your opponent has so few cards, and a lot of them are very situational. Like, once we see something like an Ooze Elise hero power turn, or an Ooze Harrison turn, maybe? No, Elise. I think this is where you read as Littlepeniss that there is not a lot going on in Spina's hand. So, I think this is the turn of most development. Could see a
6/8 stats for 4 mana is ridiculous.
Yep, Keleseth with Saronite Chain Gang is a ridiculous combination of cards. And freezing the Elise the Trailblazer and leaving only the 3/3 available to attack into 2 3/4s seems pretty appealing to me. And then could just do something like play I imagine play the Druid of the Scythe and just keep hero powering away at the face.
Seems like he agrees so far, though.
Or could just not play anything. That also seems reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, Little is getting kind of limited on their resources, so I could see, since you haven't seen the second brawl, holding something back. But he opts to play the Druid Scythe and remove the 3/3 Ooze.
So, if you are Spina, do you need to brawl here? If you hero power Reckless Flurry, you're leaving 2 5/1s on the board, then that is 5, 8, 14 from Leroy. You are dead. So, yep, the brawl has to come out here. One of the Saronite Chain Gangs does come down, and maybe you play the Harrison? Ugh. How long has this Harrison been in the hand?
Gosh, it's been in the hand a very long time. We see the
very close to the start of the game, I think.
Yeah.
So fatigue is now a factor, but at 40 health, not a huge factor.
Yeah, according to my tracker, he drew Harrison on turn 5. We're now on turn 15, 16.
An 11-turn Harrison Jones is never what you want to see, and we see an Acolyte hero power flurry, and I don't know what. Oh, maybe the second Whirlwind is the out here for Spina. definitely not Azalina Soul Thief. And the Leroy here is just going to seal the game and seal the first round of this grand final for Littlepeniss. So Littlepeniss is going to take the first round, but of course this is a double elimination format, and as Spina came from the winner's bracket, he still needs to lose to Littlepeniss a whole nother time before Littlepeniss would be confirmed as the champion. So we've got to go through that match again, Risen. And do you think either player is going to mix up their strategy a bit in light of how that first game went?
I don't know. Like I think the ban for Little is still fairly clear that it's the priest. Spina, I'm not sure if the priest ban is still standard if you go for the Spiteful. The Spiteful feels really favored against both decks. I really think the matchup's going to come down to who wins that Warlock mirror, which I guess it wasn't that case at the time. But the Spiteful deck, aside from having the Lich King in it, which is how the Warlock got to win the first time, it seems really good against their lineup. I might mix it up and switch my ban. I don't know that I would make a whole lot of other changes though.
Yeah, I think I would. Like the Quest Priest still just does look really scary for this.
Yeah, it does look really scary. I still the Spiteful is tough to deal with.
It does just seem like Littlepeniss' lineup has a bit of the edge over Spina's lineup here. Like the Quest Priest and the Spiteful Druid both seem like really bad news for Spinalogaman's lineup. So I think both of the bans, either the Priest or the Druid, have a lot of merit, and whichever one you don't ban, beating that is pretty much well, I mean, it's maybe not imperative in Conquest format. If the Druid wins, then you just need for Spina to win, he has to beat the Warlock with both of his decks. Otherwise, there's no chance. Because the Druid match is really hard for him. We saw in that matchup that it didn't even come down to Spiteful Summoners. It just came down to Ultimate Infestation, essentially. Just the sheer amount of resources that Littlepeniss was able to amass in his hand versus the Odd Warrior with its very limited card draw was able to amass was just really too much for him to handle. And the Warlock, without the kind of tech suited for the Spiteful Druid match, did look like it was having a pretty tough time. There was, of course, the Lich King did kind of throw our assessment of how the match went a little bit into disarray, but Littlepeniss did seem on top of it for the most part, even without the Lich King. So it'll be interesting to see how that match pans out again in the kind of rematch.
Yeah, I'm going to look at the matchup charts real quick and see who's supposed to be favored in Quest Priest versus Odd Warrior. Because no Spiteful, I think it's just going to be really tough for Odd Warrior to beat Spiteful. And in that case, they didn't use either Spiteful Summoners. Yes, they had with the two UIs behind it, which is a lot of value. But the Quest Priest, it's supposed to be a 75% favorite over the Odd Warrior as well. So it kind of seems like maybe in this particular matchup of lineups, the Odd Warrior, for lack of a better phrase, is kind of the odd man out. It's going to be really tough for Odd Warrior to get through here.
Yeah, no, well, I can totally see how that would be the case for Quest Priest versus Odd Warrior, especially with Odd Warrior is essentially a fatigue deck. It has to run its opponent out of stuff, and when your opponent has 2 full heal to 40s as well as Archbishop Benedictus in their deck, then how could you fatigue that?
Yeah.
So yeah, this Odd Warrior seems like it's having a really rough time. And apparently we are getting right into the game. And it has been a double priest ban. And we are going to get right into this. And once again, Risen, we are starting off with a Warlock Mirror.
I think this match is going to be really key. Like, I think Spina needs this match to have a good chance.
Oh no, I would absolutely agree with you there. This was our kind of assessment before the match. Spinalogaman needs to win. Both of his decks need to beat this Warlock. If either of his decks do lose against the Warlock, then his Warrior needs to win. Well, then his Warrior will probably need to win against the Druid, and that just seems like such a heavily unfavored matchup for him that it's going to be a real tough time. However, Spinalogaman's hand is, well, okay so far. It does have a Lackey, it does have a Void Lord. Hopefully this isn't another case of both players draw both Void Lords before either Lackey comes into play. And Littlepeniss is already presented with a kind of interesting question. Do you want to play the Plated Beetle now for the kind of little bit of damage it can present, or do you want to tap and find your Rin and your Gul'dan?
Yeah, which is interesting because last time they were in this matchup, he went for the pressure plan. Well, this time he tapped. Now, obviously, the context of the hand is very different. But he made a different choice in terms of not opting to play the Beetle and get some more board presence and pressure, and instead tapping.
Yeah, so the way the texture of Littlepeniss' hand is kind of like, I would possibly have gone for the Beetle there. You had the Shroom Brewer as like an extra kind of Zooey minion. Oh, and there is the Rin. There is one of several Rins, I imagine. And now what Spina needs to do is just play some cards out from his hand. So on 6, we're going to see that Rin Coin Pact.
Which is interesting because, like you talked about, we're seeing the Shroom Brewer here, but we didn't see the Beetle last turn.
Yeah.
Feels a little inconsistent to me in terms of game plan, but...
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you there.
Gets an opportunity to clear the board and heal, get a couple of cards out of hand.
Well, so this may be one of the rare games we've seen so far where both lackeys get played before either Void Lord comes into hand. And that would kind of be a big deal in how a lot of these matches have gone so far. We've seen like a lot of aggressive tapping, which has led to players just drawing into their Void Lords before they get the chance to be pulled from a lackey. So if that were to actually happen, I'd probably be pretty chuffed with it as Littlepeniss.
Yeah, with 2 lackeys in hand, I kind of like playing one out. I mean, the silence is probably best served for Rin in this match anyway.
Yeah, I feel like if the Spina were to use the silence on a lackey of all things, I would be thrilled. That is a very low impact silence for this particular matchup. I honestly want to just play the second lackey out. Oh, and we've got 2 Rins from 2 Stonehills. Just gonna think about it, not give anything away to Spinalogaman, and yeah, maybe just.
So you think we might see another match of like Seal Chicken here?
I feel like that's how a lot of Control Warlock mirrors go. Wow, and the silence used here would be very interesting, because in this board position, the silence does actually present a lot of tempo, while on the board before for Spina, it didn't. So now this has allowed a board clear as well as developing the Void Lord, which feels very relevant.
The fact that they have Rin in hand now means they're not necessarily worried about falling behind in the Seal race, whereas last turn the Rin wasn't in hand.
But
it's interesting.
Now there is this whole quandary of tempo versus the Seals, which has actually forced Spina to kind of divert from the plan of Rin Coin Pact. And now we've got to see something a little bit different. So
I'm not sure I know what little is committed to one game plan or another. Though.
yeah, Littlepeniss does seem a little kind of conflicted, but he does appear to be kind of switching up his game plan depending on what his opponent Spina is doing, and I think that's a very fair approach to be taking.
Absolutely.
I've seen a lot of players kind of committing too much to the seal plan or too much to the tempo plan and just losing as a result. And once again, we are going to see 2 Void Lords in hand for Spinalogaman. It's kind of become his trademark at this point. And
Yeah, it can happen a lot with the control where, like, I've known people that just to avoid the situation of having deck cards in hand so often.
Yep, and I think we can see a Void Lord come out from this lackey, trade into the Godfrey, and develop the Rin of Littlepeniss' own. And I'm not entirely sure why not trade the lackey. Maybe it is a kind of safeguard against Hellfire or Twisting Nether. I guess that does make some modicum of sense. But I do kind of like just getting the Void Lord on the board as soon as possible. There's quite a nice Seal Spellstone Doomsayer play here.
Yeah.
Which does still let you trade the Lackey into the 2/2 Fell Hunter, if that is what Littlepeniss desires. Although if he didn't do that, trade the Lackey last turn, I don't see any reason why you would this turn.
Yeah, it certainly would seem inconsistent to do that, although we've seen some inconsistencies already.
Yeah, that is not going to happen this time, so at least this is consistent with the previous turns. We'll totally get behind that. I imagine we're just going to see a Void Lord come down here, or Defile. And the decision to not attack with the Lackey actually rewarded a bit here. Did play a lot better around AoE, which is I guess the reasoning, and totally get it.
So I think, are we just going to see double seal?
I think we are absolutely seeing it double seal. Because the ordering of this, the way that Spina has opted to play the seals, he's played the first seal, then the second seal, and now there's still 3 seals to play, so it's still going to be 2 full turns before Azari becomes relevant. And you've still got a Void Lord to deal with, and you are starting to look at pressure, while your opponent can now double seal, get Azari in hand, draws the second Rin, because why not, huh? And is putting a serious amount of pressure on Spina. Now, if Azari gets played, I do believe Spina will be dead. So I would just sink all this to the face.
Yeah, I was going to say, do we just go all face here, I think?
I think we absolutely go all face here. There's no reason not to. So this may be enough to force a Twisting Nether. But if you do that, then you aren't completing the seals yourself. There is this very interesting checkmate that Littlepeniss does seem to have kind of a good grasp on in the control lock mirrors, the kind of balance between board tempo and seal tempo. Like, the importance of having a Void Lord out early is absolutely huge. And the fact that both lackeys were able to pull Void Lords for Littlepeniss while both came into hand for Spina is also absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, and Spina has to be worried about the fact that he's just dead on board until...
Yeah, the Defile is going to do... The Defile is great against the Fell Hunters, though, because they line up so nicely mathematically. But, yeah, you just absolutely play Azari into this Doomsayer. You don't really care about the 10/10 body. The body
It's interesting because neither player has full ban.
Yeah,
But
so...
Spina has far less health.
Yeah, so it's going to be... Spina has 2 Void Lords in hand, and Littlepeniss does not. So this is going to be...
Yeah,
this game is not over yet.
but without having any heal, Like there's a definite clock.
Oh yes. So yeah, with 0 healing in either player's hand, and Littlepeniss
Oh, there's a
does have
Siphon
double
Soul.
Hellfire. Oh, there's Siphon Soul. So I think if you're Littlepeniss, you're fine with just playing some taunts from the Stonehill. And you're very close to the point where your double Hellfire will just kill Spina. Voidlord, really good card in this situation as well. And this face is manipulated. If your opponent does play a Voidlord, it's just going to be a free Voidlord for you. And this is a very cheeky little Doomsayer. Hidden behind a 1/4 taunt. And as we can see in Spina's hand, there is no way to actually kill the Doomsayer if it does get played. But I think the Siphon Soul may just be the safest play. That is your opponent's biggest threat. Once that's dead, they are going to have a huge amount of trouble killing you.
Facelessing the 10/10 doesn't seem bad. I mean, that's lethal next turn if they can't clear it.
That is true.
It forces out if they have, like, you don't know, well, since you destroyed the deck, does it tell you what they destroyed? I don't.
No, it does not tell you what they destroyed. So that was a very interesting line. I think personally I would still have gone for the Siphon Soul. Be the kind of safe play. So 2 damage will be taken next turn. Oh, the Siphon Soul Hellfire is actually just lethal. Littlepeniss is going to go up 1-0 again, and this is what we were saying, Risen. The Warlock's out of the question for Littlepeniss, so now Spina has to win 2 games against this Spiteful Druid. We saw how much of a struggle that was in the last game.
Yeah, it's going to be 2 very unfavorable matchups. I mean, they're not unwinnable by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be. I would imagine he leads with the Warlock again, like he did last time. That's a little bit better of a matchup, and then the Warrior is going to be the tougher one to get through.
Yep, it is absolutely what happened, and we are going to see this Warlock up against this Spiteful Druid. So nothing too exciting in the opening hand for Littlepeniss, while Spina does have the Possessed Lackey in his own opening hand, so hopefully there's some kind of early Voidlord. And a Kobold Librarian right off the top on turn 1 is always a welcome sight. Ultimate Infestation on turn 1 is never a welcome sight.
It's not what you want.
Yep, and I do like this. Play out the Acidic Swamp Ooze just for a little bit of board tempo. Ooh, however, that is exactly the card you want to draw on turn 2, so it's a game of highs and lows for Littlepeniss.
Yeah, it's so Spina is going to have to now overcome the fact that every minion. I mean, I can't believe we somehow missed a little just made his entire deck bigger opportunity, but so I couldn't pass on it a second time.
Littlepeniss with the big deck. That's what he is. And this Crypt Lord, once again, just being the most irritating minion in Druid. And again, Spina is looking to play out this Doomsayer on quite a weak board and not going into any of the Druid's real power turns.
Your magic shall not save you.
It's still
I mean, it's
going to
consistent
get
with what he did last time, which was to kind of create a clean board or to get a lackey down onto.
Yeah.
Not sure how much I agree with that, but
yeah, I'm not sure I do really agree with it either. And this is going to be a very nice Hellfire. Or maybe, now that you've seen a Spellbreaker come down, you're probably just fine playing a Possessed Lackey here.
well, he opts for the Hellfire line.
It was a very nice Hellfire. Oh, and a 4/4 Vicious Fledgling is always a pretty terrifying prospect. Especially, and with the second Spellbreaker in hand, there's a good chance that this Vicious Fledgling is actually going to connect. It looks like he might be thinking against it. I'm not sure what the...
I'm not sure why you play the Druid's here over over the Flappy Bird. But
over the most terrifying minion in your deck, pretty much. Vicious Fledgling is a scary card. You do not want to see that. And we're going to see a Lackey Panicked here. That's all well and good. But this Vicious Fledgling is going to go to the face.
this might be the first time I've gotten to see Spina actually pull a.
Yeah. It is the first... I think it is actually the first time a Lackey has done something. So, can't be targeted, maybe, or Divine Shield is also very good at protecting against... I mean, Divine Shield is best against Defile, while Liquid Membrane is best against Spellstone. So you've kind of got to choose one of those cards, which you are more concerned with.
I mean, there's two hands that have been in Spina's hands since the Mulligan. I think it, and one they kept. I think it would be more likely for them to have Defile than Spellstone, but
Speaking of
obviously,
which, there are two of them. And really nicely, the Defile is going to kill off the Lackey and pull the second Voidlord. So it does appear that Spina's luck with Voidlords has finally changed. And now this is going to be for Littlepeniss. Just clear up these Voidlords, make sure a Faceless Manipulator isn't available to come down next turn, and just clear some stuff out of the hand because Grand Archivist is going to get played next turn, and you really need something good. Although,
yeah,
that is going to be the second Ultimate Infestation pulled from the deck. Spiteful Summoner is once again going to be a dead card, and this is kind of a position that, as a Spiteful Druid, you do kind of need the high roll to seal out this game. You've used both Spellbreakers. The Warlock is still on 20 health and has board advantage. It's not looking great for Littlepeniss in this position. So, I imagine what we need to see here, first things first, is this Grand Archivist send UI to Spina's face. That is what needs to happen. If that doesn't happen, that's going to be a tough one.
seems to be debating playing the Scalebane, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but
I don't really see what the Scalebane would really accomplish here. I think you got to play UI. Or maybe the thought is that I need Spiteful Summoner to win this game, so I don't want to play Archivist. It is a difficult decision. It is a very difficult decision for Littlepeniss.
yeah, but you're going to draw 5 cards likely, which are KLSF buffed.
Yep. 5 KLSF buffed cards is pretty nice. There's a good chance you'll draw something like Mind Control Tech, which will help deal with the board.
Looks like he's thinking really hard about Scalebane.
So yeah, I do believe this is the thought process that Spiteful Summoner needs to win me this game. Otherwise, there's no chance. And I think that is
It'll be
valid.
interesting to see what happens next turn.
But with Double Twisting Nether in hand, we can see that even Spiteful Summon is not really going to do very much. So it does look like Spina's kind of got this one. He's got so many resources in hand, which are just so good at dealing with almost everything Littlepeniss can do.
Yeah, he's... Wow, is he going to faceless the Cobalt Scalebane? Kind of looks like he's decided to go on the offensive and start... I mean, it kind of makes sense when you don't see the Archivist. We know, I mean, not to go back to that, we know Lich King's not on the deck.
Yep.
It's...
And
I mean, you
now-
kind of have to think you have a couple turns where there's likely to be very little...
Yep, and that play has actually forced... looks like the Scalebane is trying to target Littlepeniss' own face. Don't believe that's a valid move. And now, where will the Archivist send this? There's a good chance it does hit Spina's minions, but a lot of them are very low impact. Does hit a good one, but doesn't kill it. And that's probably what Littlepeniss wanted to see happen there.
Yeah, I definitely want to see anything but the Doomsayer die would have been a good result.
So, I mean, Spina does have a lot of damage on board right now, and he's not really immediately threatened. Could, if he wanted to, push 14 to the face.
I mean, when you faceless the Scalebane, I would think, yeah, I mean, probably plays a Sleepy Dragon. I don't know if there's
Yeah, I think
any
you.
trades you even take, or if you just push it all to the face.
Yeah, no, I think you just go all face. And this has actually been a kind of recurring theme that we've seen from Spina. He likes, when he's playing these control decks, to just switch things up and go on the offensive all of a sudden. I think that's very interesting to see. And by doing this, he's actually kind of forcing Littlepeniss to play not only more reactively, but more aggressively and play more things onto the board, which I think is very clever when you have double Twisting Nether, Lord Godfrey, Hellfire, so many board removal tools. You're almost guaranteeing that you're going to get more value from your clears. So I really like the way Spina has been just kind of been playing throughout these series, even if it hasn't really lined up for him in terms of matchups. He has played very well.
Yeah, well, the key matchups, I mean, like you said before, having both lackeys in hand and both Void Lords has been what we've seen every time so far. And I mean, we all know Warlock's a super powerful deck, and I mean, these are the things it can do when it doesn't have those 4 opening draws. I mean, it's not over by any stretch of the imagination, but him having just 2 Twisting Nethers in the chamber to sort of have easy out buttons if he needs them is huge.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I think...
Wow. I don't think if he's playing Play to Beetle, it's...
Yeah, I think he's just still kind of... Still trying to maximize the value from these Twisting Nethers.
Okay, so Defile.
Oh wow, that was really cool. He got the 2 health minion from the Hungry Etin to chain together that Defile. That was risky, but it worked. And it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, he had ways out of it if it didn't work. So being able to continue to push damage to the face, force Little to commit more resources to the board.
Yeah, and just look at Littlepeniss' life total. He's down to 13. 16 now. And was forced into like a super defensive line of play once again. And there's still these double Twisting Nethers, which at some point are just going to completely blow Littlepeniss out the water. And there's still the not so insignificant matter of Gul'dan is somewhere in the deck.
Yeah, and just continues to develop a board.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're going to see the Chain Gang. I can't imagine we'd see anything else.
There's not a great deal really to do. You can play a 6-mana 5/5 with the Spiteful Summoner. You can play the Greedy Sprite, which just came off the top. And like it's now this kind of game of cat and mouse of developing and trying to threaten while simultaneously not playing too hard into any potential board clears your opponent might have. Because as we can see in hand, there's a lot of board clears.
Yeah, it's a fine line to walk, and there aren't a whole lot of threats left in Little's deck. Like he's got another Crypt Lord, another Greedy Sprite, Mind Control Tech.
He's got a lot of little things basically. All the big bombs are gone. And this is right about the position where if you're a little bit, you're thinking, I really wish I had Lich King right now. Because that's a card which can just pull things out for you. Godfrey is just going to be, I think, one of the harder to use board clears, so that's going to come down first. And it does also develop a minion, crucially. And
yeah, I think that's a good spot for the Godfrey. Thinking about Leroy here.
Thinking about Leroy, thinking about the UI. UI would get Littlepeniss down to 2 cards, but it would be some useful results. But like, when you're getting that close to the fatigue and your opponent still has 6 cards in hand, it's a pretty scary prospect. Like, we've got these 2 Spiteful Summoners, which obviously do nothing. There's Fungal Monster, which is a pretty situational card. There's an Ooze, which is a tech card. There's Leroy, which is pretty bad to play by itself. Like you said, in the deck, there's things like Greedy Sprite, Mind Control Tech, a whole lot of other fairly situational, fairly weak standalone cards. Well, Spina has double Twisting Nether, a Spellstone, a Shroom Brewer for some more healing, a Silence, and there's still Gul'dan somewhere in the deck.
Oh, and a Beetle in case you need some more armor.
Yep. There's a whole heap of stuff in Spina's deck. And I think, based on how Spina we've seen him play so far, I would not be surprised to see this Godfrey go face. Like, he's like, that was a super weak turn from Littlepeniss, which did nothing very proactive. It is going to be punished a little bit by this Fungalmancer being able to trade quite nicely into the Ren, and then I don't really see any reason to trade with the Spiteful over the Ooze. Both will get traded off by one of the 4 attack minions anyway, so you might as well. Well, maybe if the Glacier Shot is the consideration. That makes a bit more sense. But yeah, this is probably going to be the moment that Spina pulls the trigger on the Twisting Nether.
Yeah, it finally developed a fairly threatening board. And anytime Little's having to trade with the board like that too is definitely good news for Spina.
Yeah. Littlepeniss is down to 3 cards. You know one of them is Ultimate Infestation, because it's been in the hand for so long and Spiteful Summoner was not active. You know that there's not very many big powerful cards left in the deck, so you're not really going to get much more opportunity to actually develop a board. And I would really like to see... Oh, I was going to say I'd like to see the Rin Seals, but we're probably just going to see Gul'dan instead. And Gul'dan is probably just going to end the game. I don't really see any way back for Littlepeniss from this. No, we're going to see some seals.
I don't even know. I don't know if I can make really wrong here, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, no. Apologies for Risen's small child there, who's very excited about how this game is going. Risen's just temporarily muted himself while there is a child present, so I'm sure he'll make some contribution when he feels it's possible. In the meantime, Spina has just Gul'dan to play. I assume that we're going to see that come down right now, and then shove this 2-attack Fell Hunter to the face. And there is not really going to be anything that Littlepeniss can do in retaliation. Does get both Void Lords back, quite fortunately for Spina, although in the end it seemed very unlikely to have any impact. Steals a Void Walker. Gets to play the Fungalmancer, probably killed another Void Walker with this hero power, which he probably should have done before playing the Mind Control tech to maximise the chances of stealing a Void Daddy. But still a very tough position for Littlepeniss to find himself in. It's going to be pretty hard for Littlepeniss. And this may be a good position to play another Twisting Nether, really. Or, no, just Owl for lethal. I didn't even see that one. Is it lethal? No. Yes. Am I blind? No, it's 1-off lethal. Please disregard everything I just said. I got distracted. Risen, are you back with us?
I am back. I'm sorry about that.
No worries. Small children do enjoy making loud noises from time to time.
He just really gets excited over seals.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way about Control Warlock Mirrors myself. Not Control Warlock Mirrors, against just Control Warlock in general. You know, it's just so exciting. I sometimes just feel like I need to scream.
So how do you think Spina beats this Spiteful with a Control Warrior? Like, how would you approach it?
I do think that Spina kind of approached it from the correct way before. He was kind of just trying to play for tempo, get on board as much as possible. But at the end, yeah, it did come down to just two ultimate infestations were too much for the warrior to deal with. It's probably down on the warrior to kind of be much more proactive and try and kill the Spiteful Druid at some point. I imagine Face Manipulator will be very big in this matchup for the Odd Warrior, because they can use it quite offensively. And we've seen Spina, he is quite offensive in the way he does use the Face Manipulator in particular in his decks. But yeah, it'll be a tough ride, to be honest. And we are just going to get right into this match right now. Of course, this is round 2 of the grand final, and it is 1-1. So this game is going to decide who is going to the Challenger Finals in June, along with a $40 cash prize and 2 months of Hearthstone Premium, while the loser of this game is only going to get 1 month of Hearthstone Premium, $20, and no ticket to the Challenger Finals. So there is everything to play for in this round 2 match between Spinalogaman, who is, judging by the chat reaction to him, a pretty big guy in Greece, I take it. So hello Greece, thanks for joining us, all of you. And his plucky little opposition is the little pecker himself, Littlepeniss. And Littlepeniss does come into this game with quite a heavily favoured matchup with the Spiteful Druid against the odd Control Warrior, but we're going to have to see if Spina can pull it out of the bag and seal the ticket to the Challenger Finals, or if this coined Crypt Lord into Vicious Fledgling for how many games have we seen this in a row?
It seems like Little's very good at drawing that combination every time. In fact, I was actually kind of surprised at the full keep with Scalebane.
Yep, it does make some modicum of sense. Oh, God. Yeah, I think the draw of the Spiteful Summoner is going to influence the playing of the Greedy Sprite over, because now if it dies, then you can curve into Scalebane Summoner, and if it doesn't die, you can just curve into Vicious Fledgling Flame Elemental into Spiteful Summoner. So there is going to be a good play for Littlepeniss no matter what. And this Crypt Lord, again, it's just so annoying.
Yeah, it is a super annoying little minion. You can hide things behind it. Little's going to have a lot of options next turn in terms of if it doesn't get killed, he'll have 4. He can still opt, like you said, the Vicious Fledgling Flame Elemental route, and then he can guarantee it dies. So we're actually going to see the silence used on the Crypt Lord.
Yeah, and this was a very similar predicament to what Spina found himself in the last match, where it was kind of what to silence, and I think in that match he also opted to silence the Crypt Lord.
Yeah, he silenced the Crypt Lord and let the Vicious Fledgling live, and then eventually facelift the Vicious Fledgling.
Which, yeah, that
was a warlock, but yeah.
That one got pretty weird. Yep, so I imagine we're probably going to... I am quite surprised by the decision to not trade off the Greedy Sprite to kind of guarantee the Spiteful Summoner is going to happen next turn, but I guess the thought here is that...
Is he maybe trying to bait out removal so he can play the Spiteful Summoner?
Oh, and it does look like Spiteful Summoner is going to get played no matter what. So, here we go.
So far, he's 2 for 2 with Tyrantus.
Yep, are we going to go 3 for 3, or will we just get a Deathwing instead?
No, just the 12. Oh, no.
Only Emerus. What a low roll.
Only 12 of stats for 6 mana.
Yep. Soon to be 7 mana. So it's soon just going to be a 7 mana 12. It's going to be unplayable. We're fine.
Yeah, 7 mana 12, so that's perfectly fine.
Yep, and like we said, this Faceless is going to be used on the aggressive. The Whirlwind in combination with the Faceless could allow just an 8/7 versus an 8/7. But then, I think what we're going to see is the the Vicious Fledgling Cobalt Scalebane combo is going to come down, and that's going to hurt.
Well, he can put a taunt up now if he wants.
Now, the taunt is very interesting, and this...
So I actually kind of like the Scalebane better if you're going to use the taunt there.
Yep, put two kind of high impact targets, because if you play the... I definitely don't like the mind control tech. That's the one that I think is the worst to play here. The Scalebane has the advantage of meaning you will have 2 minions after a Hero Power Reckless Flurry, which is one of the warrior's kind of best removal tools. If you play the Fledgling, you're going to allow the warrior to clear your board fully. Play the mind control tech, it's still relevant. After Reckless Flurry will still clear the board, but then I guess you still have the Fledgling Scalebane combo as a follow-up, so that is maybe a good play.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we've consistently seen Little do is when the opponent potentially has removal in their hand, is constantly kind of hold a little bit back for reload.
Yeah.
This case, I think it was probably a little too cautious, but it's very consistent with the way he's been playing Spiteful so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting so far. Like, we've been watching these two players, and like, I think it's rare at this level to see kind of two players who have really distinctive play styles. Like, we've kind of really got like a read on Spina's a very aggressive player, while Littlepeniss is a much more cautious player. Like, he's very mindful of his opponent's like removal options and what answers they could have, and doesn't play into things almost sometimes to possibly his own detriment. While Spina is, if he could hit you in the face, he's gonna hit you in the face, and he does this while still playing full control decks, and I do respect that. It's got an air of Fibonacci about it. Like, when you see Fibonacci play like really slow warrior decks, he's still always hitting people in the face. It's quite a sight to behold.
Yeah, I like it. It is interesting that the player that seems to be more aggressive brought the control lineup. The player that seems to be a little more cautious brought more of a mid-rangey lineup.
Yeah. We say that. He did bring Quest Priest and Control Lock. It's not the most... It's got one mid-range deck. It is the more mid-range lineup because it has one mid-range deck versus 0. But looking at the game in hand, it does look like Spina's probably got a... Oh. Yeah, the Flurry is gonna reduce the armor count, but Ultimate Infestation's pretty good reload. The only thing to Littlepeniss' detriment is didn't play Keloseth before UI this time, so there is a lot less value available, especially when you look at the Serenite Chain Gang. It's only a 4-mana 4/6 now, not a 4-mana 6/8.
I hope that's all.
And Azalina here is a really nice play. Grabbing the UI is huge for the warrior.
Yeah, this will be really interesting.
This is one facet of this matchup that I had not actually considered, the Azalina after Ultimate Infestation. Because there are a lot of resources, and now Spina has the option of being a bit more aggressive. So really now I'm not really sure what happens. Could silence this 5/5 to allow it to go face. That is definitely a consideration that would be on my mind if I was Littlepeniss. The silence at your own frozen minion interaction is one that can be criminally overlooked by newer players in particular. The first time you figure out that you can silence your own stuff, you're like, oh my god, I'm a genius. But 5 is going to hit face, and I wonder what Spina's going to do here. Maybe wishing he still had that brawl.
I know, this is the first time I've gotten to watch the control hero play with us. It's very interesting. I felt like last turn that Spina was in a great position because it seemed like they had initiative and they had the board. And then that silence on the 5/5 actually did a lot of work.
Yep.
The board is swung back a little.
Yep, it did take away 33% of Spina's remaining health, and that's a big deal. The Spellbreaker on Azalina, though, could allow some trades of Spina's own. Yeah, we're definitely going to see a chain gang. And Flappy Bird of Spina's own is going to come down.
We could see whoever's...
Trying to go on the counter-offensive.
We could see whoever's able to get, like, stick and steamroll with it. Flappy Bird first to win this.
Yep. Spiteful Summoner is not going to do a great deal because both Ultimate Infestations have already been drawn.
There's a lot of dead cards in Littlepeniss. Like, not dead cards, but an 8, 4, 7, 6 mana force. Like, we have a lot of tempo negative cards.
Yep. Fireplume Phoenix is a bit of extra damage. And now, I think Spina has just put enough stuff on the board to kind of maybe divert Littlepeniss from the full aggressive plan, which he seemed to be leaning to before. And now, maybe gotta actually fight for board a little bit more. And Spina has played more cards, so he's probably going to play that Ultimate Infestation as soon as possible. Could actually play it next turn without overdrawing any cards. And a warrior that gets to play Ultimate Infestation is like something to be reckoned with. There are a lot of really powerful cards in this warrior deck. Like the average card quality in the warrior deck is a lot higher than the druid's deck. And the... However, this is a bit problematic if you are Spina. There are 2 Flicious Fledglings staring at you right now. And not to mention that, just the bodies of everything on the board. There is 16 damage in play. You need to kill something or you're dead.
Yeah, it'll be this. There are interesting decisions here. I mean, he could, well, Double Silence gets rid of the Flappy Bird problem, but it doesn't really get rid of the You're Just Dead problem.
Yeah, I feel like the You're Dead problem is the biggest problem here.
It's a bigger problem at the moment.
And yeah, like the past kind of 5 or 6 turns have been this sort of counter push after counter push. Both players just trying to like out aggro the other. And the time is running low for Spina. In this time, I hadn't been able to figure out what a good move was. So, I think
the move that keeps him most alive was probably Big Game Hunter's Silence and kill one of the Flappy Birds, but... Because, we know this is just lethal, isn't it? Oh, the Shield Slam. Wait, I didn't...
Kills a Flappy Bird. 6.
That's interesting. I didn't even give that...
However, it is still lethal with the Ultimate Infestation. Yeah. Doesn't matter what Flappy Bird gets, the Ultimate Infestation is going to be lethal. And Littlepeniss is going to take the game against Spinalogaman of Greece. 2-1 after a very long 2-round series. We've been here for quite a while, Risen. But that is gonna be it.
Well, I'm sure there's a million different jokes that'll rise into the occasion. Other things that I won't say anymore.
Other things that a lesser man than yourself would make, Risen, I'm sure.
Oh, no, I'm not above that at all. But I'll spare everyone.
But yes.
No, it was a fun series. Like there were some... I haven't played or seen a whole lot of Control Warrior. It was interesting to see some of those interactions. I think Spina played really well. I just think that his lineup was unfavored against Little's lineup.
I would absolutely agree with you. Spina played fantastically, I've got to say. Like you say, it did just kind of come down to the fact that he had 2 really unfavored decks in the Quest Priest and the Spiteful Druid, and then he wasn't able to even take a win against the Warlock in the Mirror, and that just both games in fact, and that just really set Spina back. And in the end, that is why Littlepeniss managed to beat him twice, to come from the losers bracket and take this entire series. So, well done to Littlepeniss, who was our first place. Littlepeniss has won his ticket to Blizzard's Challenger Finals in June, as well as 2 months of Hearthstone Premium, courtesy of HS Replay, and $40 courtesy of Zotac. This is a Zotac Cup, so highly recommend you check out both of our sponsors for either some cool computer parts or some pretty useful Hearthstone stats. Our commiserations, of course, to Spinalogaman, still probably saying it wrong, our second place finisher. He does get $20 as well as 1 month of Hearthstone Premium, and the third place player who we did see previously got knocked out to Littlepeniss as well was Gunzerker, who won $10 as well as 1 month of Hearthstone Premium himself. So with all that said and done, we hope you enjoyed this Challenger Cup final broadcast. We will be back tomorrow evening at probably around the same time. Make sure to check out Black Claw's Twitter at BlackClawsHS, to follow the Twitch at Twitch/black_claws, or to check out our website at blackclaws.com to get more information about when the stream is going live. So, all that unsaid and done, Risen, where can people find you?
Yeah, if you, my Twitter is at Risen1020. I also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/Risen_HS, all lowercase, where you'll see me playing there as well, although not playing Control Warrior and not making terrible references to anatomy or hand size.
Excellent stuff. I mean, that's the main reason I tune in, to be honest, so I probably won't. And as for me, you can find me on Twitter at @Robobson, and you can find me casting here every Saturday and Sunday at twitch/black_claws, or you can find me on my own Twitch at twitch/Robobson, where I do occasionally stream myself. So thank you, Risen, for joining me for what has been a pretty excellent evening of Hearthstone, and thank you everyone, including the entire country of Greece, for tuning in as well. We will see you all tomorrow for some more Challenger Cup action. Thank you and good night.